And welcome back to another episode of Dogs on the Couch, where everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It does not matter if you played the game you are watching. So you're allowed to have an opinion as well. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, helps with the algorithm, also helps grow the channel. We would like to spread this football 101 information to our fellow Cleveland Browns supporters and media as well. Where do I start? Another loss, another game, another loss for the Cleveland Browns. Another game, another loss. And with yet another loss, I'm provided with more reasonings as to why Kevin Stefanski is the problem. Ultimately, he is the problem. He himself. At one point, I was actually going back and forth about Andrew Berry. And in my opinion, Andrew Berry I think he actually deserves another year. Just one more shot at it, if you will. And in a way, I kind of think with a different coaching regime, maybe you could better identify whether Barry is acquiring talent or Jags. So if he's acquiring talented players or just another guy. I believe it's hard to try to figure out a player's talent level inside of whatever offensive system Stefanski runs. Especially whatever system he's been running the past 2 years, 2 to 3 years or so. Mainly the past 2 years. Whatever it is that he's been coming up with on offense. At times it's kind of hard to assess the players to see if they actually are talented or not, because the system itself just seems to be flawed, for lack of a better term. It's janky. We don't even really know what the system is at this point. And we don't know if it can get back to being what it once was, given that we don't have the rushing attack that we once had, in the years of 2020, 2021, when Kevin Stefanski first took over this team. So I said I wasn't really going to do any more game breakdowns for the remainder of the year. I don't have a game breakdown for this game against the Dolphins, and even if I did, there wouldn't be much in it, especially not anything that you haven't heard before, with just DTR out there looking like garbage, being mobile, running around, and throwing interceptions, and turning the ball over, throwing interceptions and turning the ball over. So throwing interceptions and fumbling too. If you get a chance to fumble it, he's gonna fumble it too, along with throwing the interceptions. And needless to say, that's precisely what took place in this game against the Miami Dolphins, where let's get into it. Let's get into it. Where they started Tyler Huntley. It was the battle of the backups. That's what I called it. The battle of the backups. Okay. And what's so interesting about this in particular, and again, while I lay the majority of the Browns' problems at the feet of the head coach, which is Kevin Stefanski. Uh, here you have Tyler Snoop Huntley, who at the start of this NFL season was on a Cleveland Browns roster. He was on the Browns roster, in the training camp and all that old kind of jazz. He was in our quarterback's room. Okay. And then for whatever reason, uh whoever is assessing the talent or saying we should have this guy or shouldn't have this guy, I don't know. They always make it seem like Stefanski don't have the ability to do anything. He can't pick coaches. He can't pick players. He can't do nothing. He don't have the authority to do nothing. He just a person that just stand out there. And he don't have the authority to do nothing because it's always either Haslam or Barry doing everything. Stefanski don't have no say so. And I mean, if that is true, if I was Stefanski, I don't want to coach here no more. If you can't let me do nothing, if I can't call no shots, why am I the coach? If I can't call no shots, well, Haslam, you need to get out here and coach. Or Andrew Berry, you need to get out here and coach. If I can't call no shots, because here I am racking up losses on my coaching record when I'm not the one who I don't get to pick no players. Y'all don't ever give me no players that I want, that I like. Y'all don't never draft no players that I want, that I like, that say fit in my. If all of that is the case, I wouldn't want to coach for the Browns no more. So therefore, I don't believe that's the case. I believe he has somewhat of a say-so in a lot of these things that take place. I don't believe he's allowing Barry to draft players that he has no vision for. I don't think especially when they say everything is a collaborative effort. They're always collaborating. Everything's a collaboration. So if they all collaborating, then I don't think, that these people is picking these players and Stefanski like, I don't want him. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what's happening here. So I say all that to say, Snoop Huntley was deemed not good enough to be on our roster. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is better than Snoop Huntley. Now, mind you, our current regime, drafted Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So you can't tell me that Kevin Stefanski had nothing to do with Dorian Thompson-Robinson being drafted. You can't tell me that Andrew Berry, with this big collaborative effort, that Andrew Berry did not run across Kevin Stefanski. Hey, what you think about this Dorian Thompson-Robinson guy? You think you might be able to use him at all? I'm pretty sure Barry ran it across him to see what he thought. And just like all the other players that they've drafted, they refuse to let them go. They love to hold on to them, even the ones that they don't look good. They don't look promising. We hold on to them. Like a guy like Anthony Schwartz, the wide receiver that we have from Florida. Oh my goodness, he was terrible. He was a speedster, but he could not catch the ball. He couldn't catch a cold in the wintertime. So here we have Snoop Huntley starting for the Miami Dolphins, who are fighting to get in the playoffs. They want to, if they win the last couple games and then given one small thing here or there, they can make the playoffs. So they actually need this. They need this game. And again, I guess the Browns could play spoiler. You don't really have anything to play for, so that's something to play for. Oh, let's play spoiler. And we're here at home in front of our home crowd fans. Let's try to give them something good. Just try to give them a win. And the Miami Dolphins take the quarterback that you deemed not good enough to be on the roster. They take him, and they beat you. And Snoop Huntley, them may be the best numbers. And I don't have them sitting right here in front of me. But them might be like the best numbers that Snoop Huntley has had in his entire NFL career. I mean, I say that kind of in a joking fashion, but in the same breath, he had spectacular numbers. He had numbers that resembled a guy who, is good enough to be on an NFL roster. He also had numbers that look like he's better than Dorian Thompson Robinson. I mean, especially when he's playing in a game going head to head, against Dorian Thompson Robinson. And uh, DTR is the one who actually has the home field advantage. If we want to say that there were any advantages, that were at play in this game. Really quickly, I was able to look up the stats here. Tyler Snoop Huntley, 22 for 26, outstanding completion percentage. 22 or 26, 225 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. He also carried the ball 7 times for 52 yards, an average of 7.4 yards per carry, and also added a rushing touchdown. He was the team's leading passer as well as the team's leading rusher. Again, that is Tyler Snoop Huntley, the guy that we picked DTR over him and said, for whatever reason, he wasn't good enough. He couldn't cut the mustard. So those were the numbers that he put up against Dorian Thompson Robinson's numbers. 24 for 47. Absolutely awful completion percentage, as is Jamarcus Russell territory. Man, if you thought Deshaun Watson was bad, 24 of 47 for 170 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. Believe he added a fumble in there as well. So that is about as bad a quarterback play as you could possibly imagine. To have 47 pass attempts and come away with 170 yards, no touchdowns, an interception, and a fumble. So needless to say, the quarterback that this regime drafted, they used a draft pick on him. You had to see something in him that made him think, I can work with this guy. If I do a little bit of grooming, quarterback grooming, I should be able to get him together. And it's absolutely terrible. So not only did the Dolphins take a quarterback that was on your roster that you deemed not better than, Dorian Thompson Robinson, they took him, beat you while you was at your stadium. Like, took him and used him to beat you in your building. Like, yeah. To compound that, to make it even worse, Miami is supposed to be known as a team that can't win in the cold. They don't do good in the cold. So it was cold here, and they beat you. They not supposed to do good in the cold, but somehow they did good against you in the cold with a quarterback that you said wasn't good enough. So he wasn't good enough for you, but they took him and beat you with him in the cold, where supposedly they can't win in the cold. And then not only that, they had put up a stat where they said the Dolphins started out with a 2-6 record. I wonder who also started out with something similar to a 2-6 record. Oh, the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns start off 1-6. Oh, it's all Deshaun Watson's fault. It's all his fault. Oh, it's all Deshaun Watson's fault. Then we throw Jameis Winston out there, 2-6. Because the very first game he come in Baltimore Ravens, we win. Up 2-6. And everybody think you got the quarterback at this time. Oh, we got the quarterback. It should have been Jameis all along. So the Miami Dolphins was 2-6, struggling, going through stuff. Similar to the Browns, injuries, injuries to their quarterback, Tua, being out. Tyreek Hill having injuries in and out. Jalen Waddle having injuries in and out. They running back Raheem Mostert got injured and was out for some time. So they're dealing with the exact same issues, that the Browns was dealing with. However, the issues that they weren't dealing with was some of the stuff that I love to talk about all the time that falls on coaching. I don't think they were suffering from leading the league in pre-snap penalties. I don't think their wide receivers were leading the league in drops. I don't think they have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. They didn't have one of the worst rushing attacks in the league. But those other deficits that if you have a good coach like Mike McDaniel, when I was going through the breakdowns of the longest tenured current NFL head coaches, and we found out that Kevin Stefanski is number 10 out of 32. And then Mike McDaniel has a lesser tenure with the Miami Dolphins because he's only been there 3 years. He's already won the division twice. And then in what looked to be a season that could go straight to the bottom of the barrel, starting out 2-6, they end up salvaging their season and then fighting for the playoffs in the final 2-3 games of the season, where if they just win their games, they have a good shot at actually making the playoffs. This is what your floor should be when you having a quote unquote struggling season. If you have a competent head coach that knows what he's doing, this is what your floor should look like. It shouldn't look like 3 wins. That ain't, and trading away key players and then other key players coming out and saying that they want to leave. Because along with Myles Garrett, we also have Joe Bitonio and Denzel Ward coming out saying they tired of losing too. So that's 3 who actually come out and said it. There's no telling how many more are echoing that same sentiment in the locker room that they're tired of losing. Okay? And it wasn't because you switched out quarterbacks and you were still losing because you had a chance at 2-6 after you swapped out quarterbacks because you said it was all the quarterback's fault. It was all Deshaun Watson's fault. Well, you swapped out quarterbacks, and then at 2-6, you had a chance to still be able to make the playoffs. You can't tell me that you did because the Miami Dolphins are doing it. But that's because they have a competent head coach in Mike McDaniel. Yeah, they got a head coach that kind of got a feel for things and kind of knows what he's doing. Doesn't seem like he's just back there with his eyes closed, pressing the buttons, and I'll see what works. So I found that to be very ironic. Their situation was very similar to ours. And then in the end, they end up taking a quarterback that we had that we deemed not better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So we chose to get rid of him and keep DTR, only for them to turn around later in the season where they're fighting for to keep their playoff hopes alive, which they did. Took that same quarterback and beat us in our building, in the cold, where they supposedly cannot perform. That's irony at its absolute finest, in my opinion. That's irony at its absolute finest. Coach, I'm laying that at your feet, Mr. Head Coach, because Mike McDaniel's suffering from the same stuff that you suffering from, except his team ain't constantly jumping off sides. He ain't constantly sending a kicker out there that's missing kicks. He ain't constantly calling stupid plays on 3rd and short and 4th and short. So naturally, he was able to coach his team and get his team through all of the muddy waters, and they still got a chance to make the playoffs after starting 2-6 and suffering tons of injuries throughout their roster. One of the other things that I found interesting, the irony in this past week's football world that took place. Baker Mayfield, 5 touchdowns, no picks for the first time in his career. So for all the people that say Kevin Stefanski got the best out of Baker Mayfield, false. That would be Todd Bowles. Because that's the first time in Baker Mayfield's career he's thrown for 5 touchdowns and no picks in a game. What do you know? Baker's still balling. He away from Cleveland, still balling. Yeah, he's thrown some interceptions this year. We can't deny that. We can't overlook that. He's thrown some interceptions this year, but he's had way more good than he has bad. He's had way more good than he has bad. So with the quarterback play that he's giving right now, it's hard to say, oh, I wouldn't take that. Most teams finna take that. Like, guy is top 5 in touchdown passes right now. So, like, yeah, man, I'm gonna take that. Like, I'm gonna take that. He up there with Joe Burrow in the TD passes. Like, I'm gonna take that. Sorry. So that's another, it's another interesting feather in the cap, of a feather in the fire Stefanski cap that I wear proudly every day, and will continue to wear until that man gets out of town and takes his Ivy League knowledge somewhere else and messes up their team. Because I don't know, maybe he should just be a coordinator, but I don't believe head coaching is for him. Another notable thing, Nick Sirianni, because I have brought him up, in the episode that I did when I was after the week after the Browns played the Eagles. Because Nick Sirianni was on the hot seat for whatever reason I couldn't understand. That's what I was saying. He was 3-2 at the time, so his team had a winning record, and he was second in the division, only behind the Washington Commanders, who had got off to a great start due to their rookie Jaden Daniels. So I'm like, Nick Sirianni, why is he? I'm like, this dude took y'all to a Super Bowl. Like, what is I don't get, like, what are you? I don't understand what the problem is. Like, what are you talking? Oh, well, and this, and he's arguing with the fans, and he barely beat the Browns. That's why he should. And I was saying, like, well, I don't have a problem with the coach arguing with the fans. Like I said, at least he's showing some fight. At least he's showing emotion. At least he's showing that he cares about winning and losing. You're getting some fire out of him. I'm like, I'll take that out of a coach instead of all our coach do is he used at the time. All he was doing was because this was before he switched to play callers. This was all he used to do at the time. He just do this. This was all you see from Kevin Stefanski is this right here. And his hand on the little walkie thing over here doing this. That's all you would see from Kevin Stefanski, okay? At least with Nick Sirianni, forget you. We just beat you. Say something else about me. I liked it. I liked it, the fire. I liked the intensity. You know what I'm saying? Like just one of the reasons why I like Dan Campbell. I like the fire. I like the intensity. Like, it make you want to run through a wall for a guy like that. It fires you up. It gets you ready to play football. Like, I don't know. It's just something about that for me. You don't always have to be that kind of a coach because, again, I don't think Mike McDaniel's that kind of coach. But it's something about the way that he goes about his business that seems to resonate with the team and makes the team want to play hard for him and win games as a result of doing so. So Nick Sirianni was got a stat. He was the first Eagles coach with multiple 13 plus winning games seasons. So the first coach in Eagles history to have multiple years of 13 plus wins. And mind you, this was a guy that was talking about being on the hot seat. And he got a stat like that. But the Cleveland Browns, oh no, we shouldn't fire Stefanski, a guy who's been here 5 years and 3 losing seasons in those 5 years. And one of the losing seasons is a 3-win a 3-win. Now, I mean, they could beat the Ravens in the last year. I'm not banking on it. So I'm going to say it's a 3-win season. 3 wins. Like, they talking about a guy being on the hot seat he the first Eagles coach in history to have multiple 13-plus wins. And you know what I'm saying? Multiple seasons with 13-plus wins. And they was talking about him being on the hot seat. Meanwhile, we got a coach, 5 years, 3 of them losing seasons. Oh, he's good. He's good. He's great. He just doesn't have the this and he doesn't have the that, and the sun and the moon and the stars got to align the right way. And then you got to have Patrick Mahomes. And then if you draft Randy Moss, if you bring Randy Moss, you know what I'm saying, to put him on the team, give Nick Chubb a bionic knee. And then if you know what I'm saying, get Trent Williams on the offensive line, you know what I'm saying, you do all of that, you know what I'm saying, and you get Thanos and you collect all the Infinity Stones. Then Kevin Stefanski is going to lead you to a Super Bowl. That's way too much, man. Mike Tomlin don't need all that. Mike Tomlin ain't all that. Mike Tomlin had me as a quarterback for two seasons and managed to win games. And managed to win games. Okay? He had me playing quarterback. And then after me, they had drafted, because I wasn't good enough, they drafted Kenny Pickett. And he was terrible. And he was winning games with Kenny. He had Kenny Pickett as the starting quarterback. And didn't have a losing record with Kenny Pickett. Are you kidding me? That's crazy to me. Like, that's wild. You had Kenny Pickett. So if you asking me, he probably could have took like a Dorian Thompson-Robinson or somebody like that and had a win record. Like, he been doing it all this time. So I found that to be funny, man. Like, those were a few tidbits. Another team that got out to an absolute terrible head start was Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals fans might not necessarily be all that high on Zach Taylor. They might not really like him all like that. But somehow, the Bengals, he coaching the Bengals to still being competitive. They still got a shot at the playoffs. No matter how big or how small that shot is, they got a shot. They're playing meaningful football. We got to try to win these games. I know we need some other little stuff to happen here and there, but let's take care of our business. As long as we win, we got a shot. So, for all those who want to try to make it seem like the season was lost because of Deshaun Watson and the 1-6 start, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It's 2 teams that I got right here, and I mean, it's others, but I'm just using these 2 as an example that I got from this past week. But the Dolphins and the Bengals got off to similar starts, just like you. The Dolphins, the start they got off to was almost identical. And that means including like injuries and everything else, and injuries to the same positions on the field: quarterback, running back. Like, I mean, it's almost identical. And somehow, these teams with these head coaches were able to right the ship. Were able to get their ship in somewhat of a positive direction. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns just plummeted. Head coach was, for whatever reason, not able to get it together. And it seems like with each quarterback that he put in, we're supposed to get better. It gets worse. We find out even more things that are wrong with the team. Whereas we started off, it's all the quarterback, it's all Watson. And I knew that's some garbage because I'm watching the games. I'm like, nah, Watson ain't out there missing them field goals. Watson ain't out there dropping them wide open passes, just hitting them dead in the chest and bouncing off their pads and falling to the ground. Watson not doing that. Now, is Watson missing some throws? Is he on some plays leaving the pocket too early? Yes, he is. But everything ain't his fault. I'm watching it. I'm looking at it. It's a whole bunch of stuff going wrong. If this other stuff was going right and then it was just the quarterback messing up, then I could agree with that. But I'm watching all this other stuff go wrong. How can I overlook that and go point straight to the quarterback? So I just found it to be, living proof. That's it's very ironic that you got a couple other teams who suffering similar, uh, you know, obstacles to try to overcome. Somehow they were able to overcome those obstacles. Even a coach like Zach Taylor, who isn't necessarily just viewed as one of the best coaches in the NFL, but somehow he was able to get the ship right with what is known as the worst defense in the NFL. So for all the people who want to nitpick about the Browns defense, I don't think there's nothing wrong with the Browns defense. I think it's great. Honestly, I think it's great. I think it's one of the better defenses in the NFL, to be honest. I just think the offense is so trash that it's always putting defense behind the 8 ball. And you can't really expect defense to be immaculate nowadays. The rules ain't set up for that. The rules is not set up for you to have a steel curtain defense, for you to have the Baltimore Ravens defense, like the Ray Lewis and them Baltimore Ravens defense. It's not set up for you to have those kinds of defenses anymore. The rules and the way the money work. It's hard to have a defense like that, especially year in and year out. You're not really going to have defense like that. You can get them every now and again, or you could just have a decent, consistent defense year to year. But to think that you're just going to have the best defense ever and you're going to have it for 3-4 years straight, that's not happening. The NFL is not designed for that. It's designed for offense and putting up points, just like they did with the NBA. We don't want y'all hand checking. Freedom of movement. You know what? Let them travel. Let them double, triple step back. Let them carry the ball. We just want to see more action. Same thing with the NFL. Same thing they did in the NFL. Defensive receiver. Oh, you can't even touch the quarterback in the helmet because if you do, that's illegal contact, forcible contact to the head. All kind of penalties that they just have made up just to keep the offenses flowing. So you're not just finna get this defense that don't allow any yardage and don't allow no touchdowns like that. If you get that, that's an anomaly. And you can't expect that to happen every single year, man. Last other couple notable things. Me personally, I wanted to go look up what our turnovers have been looking like ever since Stefanski took over. 2020, 2021, decent years. 22 wasn't so bad, but it was starting to raise some hairs. But 2023 and 2024, these last 2 years, very concerning to me. Okay, so I already went over how we've been top 11 in penalties every year that Stefanski has been the head coach. We've been top 11 in the league in penalties every year since he's been the head coach. These past 2 years, you combine being one of the league leaders in penalties with, in 2023, we was first in the league in interceptions thrown, giveaways that are interceptions, first in the league in that, and fourth in the league in fumbles. So in 2023, he was first in the league in interceptions. This is last year. This is the Joe Flacco. This is that year. First in the league in interceptions, fourth in the league in fumbles, and number one in total giveaways. Like number one in the most turnovers. Number one. That's us. 2024, this year, again, first in the league in interceptions, fifth in the league in fumbles, second in total giveaways. Again, 2024, first again in interceptions. So in 2023 and 2024, we was first in the league in interceptions thrown. And then fifth in fumbles. When in 2023, we was fourth in fumbles. So we top 5 in fumbles in both of these years. And in both years, we number 1 in interceptions thrown. And then in both years, we either first and second in total giveaways, in total team giveaways. So that's no matter what quarterback you got out there, because We know that these interceptions, when we talk about these interceptions like this, we know this ain't Deshaun Watson. We know that. Because we were saying that Deshaun Watson couldn't even get the ball far enough for somebody to even catch it to be an interception. So it ain't him. It's all these other guys that we claiming that Kevin Stefanski gets the best out of. And what he's, the production. They love to use the word production. They were saying, oh, when Jameis was in there, the offense was productive. No, it wasn't. A productive offense put points on the board and win games. That's what a productive offense does. Not just throw for 500 yards, 3 interceptions, and lose. That's not a productive offense. Just because 500 yards is in there. No, man, you threw 3 picks and you lost. So that's not a productive offense. You need to go back to the drawing board. Yeah, you need to go back to the drawing board. So for me, I'm like, as a head coach, what is my argument for you being a good coach when you got a sub 500 record, overall record, win-loss record, that's only going to get worse because you finna lose again. 3 out of the 5 seasons you've been here, you had a losing record. The worst was a 3-win season. We got players that leave away from here that do better when they get away from here than what they was doing when they was here. We also have other teams taking the players that you deemed not good enough, taking those players, using those players to beat us in our building. Then you got other teams going through the same stuff we going through, starting out with a 2-6 record, injuries to the quarterback, injuries to the running back, but they head coach get their team in playoff contention. Not only do they not have a 3-win season, but they get their team in playoff contention. And then you lead in the league, you top 11 in the league every year in penalties. This year you lead the league in pre-snap penalties. You first in interceptions, 5th in fumbles, 2nd in total giveaways. Last year you was 1st in interceptions, 4th in fumbles, and 1st in total giveaways. What do you do as a head coach? What do you do? Oh, you the 2-time head coach of the year? Myles Garrett got a soundbite where they was asking him something, and it was something about an individual accolade. And Myles Garrett said in specific, yeah, them individual accolades or whatever, that is cool. But the game is about winning. So like that, all that individuals, like that's cool, but the game is about winning. That's what it's about. And I'm sorry, but I was the first one, out of the Browns media that I be listening to, because the Browns media I was listening to and that I played clips of them saying, oh no, they were entertained with losing. As long as Jameis Winston threw for 500 yards, they were entertained. They were entertained by losing. And I'm like, I could never be entertained by losing. I could never use the word fun in a situation where I lost, because nothing about losing is fun to me, because the game is about winning. You play the game to win. That's why you play. I forget that one soundbite. The coach be like, you play to win the game. That's why you play. You play to win the game. You don't play to have fun losing. That's not why you play the game, man. Not winners. Not winners. If you want to be a winner and you want to build a winning culture, you can't be saying stuff like you had fun losing. We lost, but I had fun, though. What? Because I don't want to play on no team with nobody saying nothing like that. If I overhear you saying something like that, I don't want... Hey, coach, who is the... can we trade? We can't trade this? He over here talking about today was fun. He had fun today. We lost. We lost 21-3. I didn't have fun today. Because he threw for 500 yards. I don't care how many yards he threw for. Them not my yards. You know what do belong to me? This L, though. This L, we all got to hold it. Them 500 yards, that only go to him. But this loss, we all got to hold this L, though. All of us. We all gonna be responsible. All the reporters, they're gonna come to all of us with the microphone. Hey, you lost today. You gotta make it make sense to me, man, and it doesn't. And again, I believe as long as Kevin Stefanski is in charge as the head coach, and he has any type of say so and picking coaches to do jobs or any type of say so and calling plays or developing plays, I think we'll consistently get the same. And I fear we get this top 3 pick one of these quarterbacks, and then let Kevin Stefanski get a hold of them. Lord help us. Because he may break them. He may break whoever the quarterback is. He may break them. And then we'll end up having another Deshaun Kaiser on our hands. He may break them, and then we can't. He might not be able to be fixed. You never know. It ain't like he coached up Dorian Thompson Robinson. couldn't help Jameis exercise them interception demons, and he's the quarterback whisperer. Stefanski is, but somehow you couldn't exercise those Jameis Winston interceptions demons. Prayer and the quarterback whisperer couldn't stop Jameis from throwing interceptions. And even when Jameis wasn't here last year, we were still first in the league in interceptions. Make it make sense, man. I'll be back to give some more Kevin Stefanski slander after we lose to the Baltimore Ravens in the upcoming week. Dogs on the couch, man. Signing off.